Welcome back to the channel. My name is Usman. Today I'm going to be doing a review on a relatively new cigar, the Partagas Linea Maestra Maestro cigar. This is the latest in a lineup of Linea series cigars from Habanos. They produce the Monte Cristo Linea series, the Romeo Julieta Linea series, and the latest version, or the latest edition, is the Partagas Linea series. And what's notable about this series of cigars is that it's the first time Habanos has used the color blue on the band. Habanos has never used the color blue on their bands before. I can't think of any other cigar. I know that they played about with the color blue on the La Gloria Humidor, but they never put it on the band. And in all honesty, the first time I saw this cigar, it looked to me like a New World cigar. Like, I've never seen blue on a Cuban cigar before, so it was just a little bit jarring. And when I first saw it online, when I was just scrolling through, I thought it was a New World cigar. I didn't think it was Cuban, and I had to do like a double take. And I have to say, initial reaction on this, I wasn't 100% keen. Like, I wasn't against it, but I wasn't 100% keen on it. However, it has been growing on me, and I have to say, this is a gorgeous looking cigar. It's 5 1/4 inches long, 56 ring gauge, short torpedo, short fat torpedo, and virtually every cigar in the series is a torpedo. All of the cigars in the series are torpedoes. There's only 3 of them. I don't know why I'm saying virtually, but all of the cigars in the series are torpedoes. And this one, you know, I have to say, it is beautiful. Basically, what they've done is they've taken the standard, I say standard, they've taken the special red colored Partagas band, you know, the one that you see on the Salamones. They've taken that band and that design, and then they've replaced the red with blue. The gold is obviously staying, and then they've kind of, you know, increased the length of the band, and then added the Maestro series, and then they put a footband on here as well. But in terms of presentation, this is gorgeous. This is stunning. And this cigar was given to me by Hunters of Frankhouse, so a huge thank you to them. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I thought I'd do a review on this cigar and see what it was all about. Unfortunately, this is the first one that I'm going to be smoking, so this is not a detailed and proper in-depth review. And you know, if I have a dud over here, unfortunately it's a dud, and if I have a good one, then it's a good one. But it's not a good reflection on what the series of this particular cigar is all about. So this is not a full and detailed review. It's just this individual cigar. So yeah, let's get straight into this. I'm going to cut this like this and see what this gorgeous looking cigar is all about. You know what I've noticed? This cigar doesn't have like a typical torpedo cap on it. It's got like the torpedo shape, but then they've also stuck a cap on top of it. It doesn't have like when you look at the Partagas Series P number 2, it's wrapped around, you know, it's like a turban. It's wrapped all the way, and that's what the cap is. But this one, it's like they've wrapped it up to a certain point, and then they put an additional cap on over here, which is, in my opinion, that was like a cheaper technique that they used on like Petit Coronas as opposed to Marevas, which were all the way wrapped around, and they had like, you know, a proper cap on it. So yeah, I thought that this sticking the cap on was like a cheaper technique, but you know, it's on here. It's here on the more premium line of cigars. First few draws on this cigar, I'd have to say, construction wise, really good. Like, the ash has this white tone to it, and you know, you don't see this very often when it comes to Cuban cigars, so that's quite nice. The draw is what most people would say is perfect. Like, this draw, virtually perfect for most people. For me, a little bit loose. You know, I prefer a little bit of a tighter draw, so I would have preferred if it was just a little bit heavier packed. But you know, that's just my own personal preference. In terms of flavors, though, it's a complex cigar, but it doesn't have the saturation of flavors. Like, there are lots of flavor notes. Starts off with like this minerally salty flavor, goes into like a savory note, and then it goes into like this almost like a oaty finish with like a little bit of sweetness. So it's complex. Like, I'm surprised that the journey is nice. The issue is that the flavors are really quiet. Like, you know, there's very little saturation to the flavors. It's, I wouldn't call it mild because it does have a little bit of a strength to it, but the flavor notes are mild. Like they're just kind of a little quiet, and I would have preferred if there's a little bit more saturation. But it is a complex cigar based on the draws, and based on a puff that I'm taking. You know, when I'm taking a puff from the cigar, there's a journey, which is quite nice. You know, it's unusual. I don't really normally see that in Cuban cigars. Cuban cigars tend to be very straightforward. So yeah, you know, I'd say a positive start to this cigar. Would have preferred a bit of a firmer draw, but you know, that's just me. But other than that, yeah, I'm going to say good start. Good start. Moving past the first third of this cigar, and a few issues. The burn has not been great. Like, if you just look at the burn on this over here, I'm just going to see if I can focus on the cigar. So the burn right there, this section over here, just on the front, this part just will not burn properly, and I have to keep retouching it. I've had to retouch it like 4 times already, and I'm only on the first third, so that's a little frustrating in terms of the experience. I don't normally knock off points for a bad burn, but this is just annoying. So, you know, that on a premium cigar, I don't really expect to see that. I mean, you do see it's a handmade product, it's a natural handmade product, so I get it. That's why I don't normally knock off points for a bad burn, but it's there. Secondly, there is a little bit of a young cigar harshness. Definitely there. This needs aging. This is not ready. And the third thing is, the draw has improved. The draw has become quite a bit better than it was. I mean, I know that it was perfect for most people, but for me, it's improved. You know, it's become a little bit firmer. The burn is just slowing down a little bit. Like, it was burning a little bit too fast for my liking at the beginning, but now it's slowing down a little bit. Flavor-wise, it's pretty much the same at the beginning. There isn't much change. A little bit of that young cigar harshness, nothing over the top, nothing overwhelming. It's not ruining the experience, but it's there. But other than that, the flavor profile is pretty much identical to what it was at the beginning. So the buildup isn't really coming through in terms of flavors. In terms of strength, it's coming in. So, you know, it's a bit of a mix. I would have preferred if the flavors were kind of coming up as a crescendo as opposed to the strength. Some of you may prefer more strength and flavors, but for me, I like a more flavorful cigar. I like notes that interest me, that every time I take a puff, I'm like, oh, this is so good. So, you know, it is still as complex as it was at the beginning, because there is a journey with every draw that I take. Starts off with that salty, minerally flavor, goes into like a more savory flavor, then it goes into this OT, or the finish, I should say, is this OT finish with like a little bit of sweetness. And that sweetness is interesting, but still the flavors are really desaturated. They're not really prominent and not on the forefront. It's the strength which is on the forefront, but it's not a strong cigar by any means. Like, this is not strong, but I can feel a little bit of that strength. So yeah, a few issues, a few positives, but you know, we're only on the first third of this cigar. Moving past the halfway point of the cigar, I'm just coming up to the band now, and the burn is getting better. So I did have to touch it up multiple times, but now it seems like it's settled, it's burning a little bit better. I haven't had to touch it up for a little while now, so that's a positive. The draw, still perfect. I did have to cut it again just to kind of open it up a little bit, because it did build up a little bit of tar. In terms of flavors, that young cigar harshness is starting to become a little bit more prominent, although the flavors are still there. Because the flavors are really, really desaturated and they're not that loud, they're not that prominent, that young cigar harshness is starting to become more of a problem. So this cigar definitely needs some age, but I don't know if this is going to age into something better. Like, yeah, the harshness is going to go down, but then the flavor notes aren't really anything to write home about. So I don't know. I mean, so far, like, there are glimpses and there are moments where the flavor notes come through and you're like, oh wow, this cigar, it's starting to come out, it's starting to become what I was hoping that it is. And then you take another draw and it's gone. So really, really, intermittent and not very consistent. You know, there's no consistency in terms of what the flavor notes are. So bit of a downer on that front. But like I said, this is not a detailed review. This is the only one that I've smoked, so this, you know, can be, I mean, I wouldn't say that this is a really good or a reasonable reflection of the cigar, because like I said, sometimes you get a box of cigars and, you know, sometimes you get a dud. So you know, I wish this cigar had more to say, but as of right now, it's not the most interesting cigar that I've smoked in recent times. Coming to the final section of this cigar, and in terms of construction, the burn has gone back to being frustrating. I've had to touch it up a few more times, so not a great experience overall. In terms of flavors, it's been pretty much boring, really. Like there was no progression, there was no development. The flavors kind of just tapered off and there wasn't much to it. Like it started off a little bit interesting. Midway point, I was getting a few hints of something that I thought was going to develop and turn into something interesting, but then it just kind of went completely, and now it's just a cigar. Like, it doesn't taste of anything significant. There's this slight creamy note to it, but it's very subtle, and you know, there's not much to it in terms of flavors overall. There is a decent amount of strength to it. Like, it's not a strong cigar, but there's a decent amount of strength to it. Like, it's building up, and the strength has built up, so that's a minor positive. But other than that, it's very much like a nothing cigar, and I believe that this is going to be an expensive cigar as well. I mean, it's a Linea series, so it's going to be expensive. It's a new cigar, it's going to be expensive, and these are difficult to find, so it's going to be even more expensive. So considering what I believe the price is probably going to be, I find it difficult to recommend this particular cigar. However, it's not a detailed review. Like I said earlier in the video, this is the only one that I've smoked, so you know, it's an unfair representation of this particular series of cigars. So I would like to get hold of more of these, and hopefully, you know, as I smoke more of these, maybe they'll improve. I don't know. I will say that when I smoked the Leyenda, the Montecristo Linea Leyenda, and the Maltese and the Dumas, when I first smoked them, I really did not enjoy them. They were bland, boring, there was nothing to it. It was just strength and nothing else. There was nothing to those cigars. However, after a few years, those cigars are now smoking really well, and I'm enjoying those cigars. They're expensive. They're quite a bit more expensive than what they were. I mean, originally the Leyenda was like £30 a cigar, and now it's like, I don't know, it's definitely more than double. So it's expensive, but they've improved with time, and they've become a lot better than what they originally were and what my initial experiences were. So maybe over time this cigar will develop as well. Same thing with the Linea series from Romeo y Julieta, the Hidalgos. You know, it was okay. I think the Hidalgos was performed better than this, but then even then I didn't think it was a brilliant cigar. So yeah, I mean, with a little bit of time, maybe this cigar will improve. Maybe, you know, there's something to it in a few years from now, but considering the price and what it is right now, it's tough to recommend. It really is tough to recommend. So yeah, give it some time. Maybe there'll be something there, but considering the price, I don't know. It looks flashy though. I mean, it's a pretty looking cigar. So if you're smoking this in a lounge, yeah, you know, you're gonna look pretty cool smoking this cigar, but that's about it. There's nothing to it aside from like being the flashy guy smoking a Linea series cigar in the lounge. But yeah, the Linea Maestro cigar from Habanos de Partagas. Gorgeous looking cigar. It's a shame that it hasn't lived up to the presentation and the hype. Yeah, I think I would like to try more of these, but for now, meh, that's all it is really. Anyway, just want to say thank you so much for watching the video. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, share this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Thank you.